If you're in your 20s and feel completely stuck because you don't know what decision to make, whether it's your career, where to live, what you like, or what to do next, then this video is for you. I used to struggle with decision overwhelm too. I'd make endless pros and cons lists, overthinking every option until I talked my way out of all of them. Since then, I've moved to a different country, started my own business, changed career paths, and made quicker and better decisions than ever before. In this video, I'll explain to you the two types of decisions, how to get unstuck, and what the experimentation mindset is, so you can move forward with purpose and confidence in your decisions. Part of the reason why decision making feels so hard in your 20s is because it's the first time you actually have options. You could live anywhere, work anywhere, start a business, or travel. The freedom is amazing, but it's also completely overwhelming. Then there's the fear of regret. We treat every decision like it has to be the perfect one, as if one wrong move will ruin everything. You're not indecisive because you're broken. You're scared of closing doors. But what if you could reopen them again? So let's talk about the two different types of decisions. Here's the thing. Not all decisions are the same, and not every choice deserves the same weight and consideration. Think of decisions as two different types of door. The first type is like your front door. It closes and locks behind you when you leave. The second is your bedroom door. It has a handle on both sides and you can always turn back if you'd like. One decision is reversible, the other isn't. The one-way door decisions like getting married, having children, or making major financial commitments, these require much more consideration because these are harder or more expensive to reverse. Not always impossible, but certainly require a lot more effort or a lot more money to change your mind. But most of the decisions you're agonizing over, these are bedroom doors. You can change jobs, move cities, or try a new project. And if it doesn't work, you can reverse the change or pivot. Knowing this was the biggest element that gave me the confidence to leave the UK and move across the world to Australia. My partner and I decided we'd give it 3 to 6 months to settle in before we decided if we liked it. Then if either of us weren't enjoying it, we'd reverse the change and move back home to the UK. 2 years on, we're still here, and it's been one of the best eye-opening changes that's completely altered our lives. So stop overthinking those two-way doors. Act quickly, give it a try, and take the pressure off yourself. Now that you know which decisions matter the most and require the most consideration, let's talk about how you approach them. So how do you actually make a decision when you're stuck in analysis paralysis? First, ask the right questions. These could be, what are my options? What are the pros and cons of each? How will I handle each outcome, whether it's a success or a failure? What will I need to give up? And how will this affect my well-being and my relationships? Then check your mental state. Your decision-making quality is deeply influenced by your mental state, including stress, self-doubt, and fear. When you're mentally fit, you're less reactive, more curious, and more resilient, so better decisions follow. But when you're not in the best headspace, it can make it increasingly difficult to even make small decisions. So here are 2 things you can do. The first is to do what you can to reduce the stress. Whether that is going for a long walk, meeting up with a friend for coffee, doing a fun exercise class, or even some deep breath work. Anything that will increase your positivity and reduce your stress. The second is to try approaching this decision from a success mindset. Imagine everything works out perfectly. What choice would you be most proud of making? As humans, we're typically very risk averse, and this has been critical to our evolutionary survival. But it's not so useful when we're trying to make these life-changing decisions. So try to recognize and quieten the voices of fear, perfection, and self-criticism. These voices cloud your judgment and keep you stuck on that default path. Your life will become so much more exciting if you learn to do this. Now, here's where logic meets intuition. Pro-con lists are great for engaging your brain, but decisions involve emotional factors too. So you can write your pros and cons list, the options you're choosing between, and figure out logically what option makes the most sense. But then stop listening to your brain and start listening to your gut. By doing this exercise, your logical brain would have probably already come to a conclusion, but that's when you'll start to feel if your gut is pulling you in a different direction. When I was 24, I came across what I thought was my dream role, a mix of sustainability and data in a large fashion business. I applied, went through rounds of interviews, and eventually got the job, but I was still undecided. Jump into the unknown at a new company, or stay in my current role doing work that I enjoyed with an amazingly supportive team. I did my pro-con list, and logic was heavily weighted to staying in my current job, but that's when I felt my gut pull me in a different direction. I knew that if I didn't give this a chance, I would regret the missed opportunity, and who knew if a role like this would come around again. So I took the leap and ended up working in that new role for 3 years. It wasn't perfect, but it was the right decision for me, and it led me on a whole new path. So trust your gut as well as your brain. Your body often signals what your brain can't yet articulate. You can't steer a parked car. You can twist the wheel, but you're not going to find your direction until you start moving. So how to go from thinking to doing? You can try a tiny test. Not every decision needs to be a huge decision. You can test it in a small way first. Thinking of changing careers? You can try freelancing or shadowing someone for a week. Thinking of moving cities? Go spend a few days there. The goal is to collect information. Making that tiny decision takes the pressure off and allows you to collect useful data that you can use to make your bigger decision. Once you've made the decision, it's very easy to spiral into self-doubt. What if I made the wrong choice? What if there was a better option? But the most successful people act quickly, make peace with their decisions, and move on forwards. No room for questioning whether it's the right one. Your job after deciding isn't to keep reevaluating, it's to commit to learning from what happens next. Don't obsess over what you didn't choose, just double down on the thing that you did. One practical tip to help you keep making good decisions is to start a decision journal. Write down your context and assumptions at the time of making the decision, and then later on, go back to review and see what you can learn. It focuses on reflection to understand patterns rather than getting stuck in regret. Because after all, life is a series of decisions. One mindset that changed everything for me was this: you don't need to find the right decision. You just need to make a directional one. So think of decisions as experiments rather than commitments. You're not choosing forever. You're just choosing to take your next step. When I stopped asking, is this the right decision? And instead started asking, does this take me in the direction I wanted to travel in? Everything started to feel a lot lighter. So use the experiment mindset rather than trying to set one clear path. Because even if it doesn't work out, you still got valuable information, and that's progress. Every decision you make gives you data about who you are and what matters most. So if you're struggling to make a big decision right now, take the pressure off. You don't need the perfect choice, you just need the next one. The people who seem confident, they're not necessarily more certain. They just make a quicker decision and are at peace with it. They decide faster and learn as they go. Now, one of the things that gave me the freedom to make better decisions in my 20s was getting on top of my finances. Whether that was quitting my job without a plan, starting a business, or moving country. So if this is something that you need guidance on, then check out this video here. You've got this.